everyone, I'm Aveline. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So today we are building with the new kit. I'm basically building like extremely out of my comfort zone, so don't be too harsh on me, okay, please? I never asked that of you, by the way, because I know that you're not, but like, I don't know. I feel like this house turned out okay. I feel like I can do more with it, but at the same time, I also wanted to keep the exterior very simple because realistically, houses like this are very simple and like they're very blocky on the exterior. They're very like squared, and then there's not a lot of windows on them because if you have too many windows, you know, it gets very, very warm. And there's not a whole lot of details on the house either, and I just wanted it to look like slightly realistic when it came to at least the house shape and like what was going on with the house. So we're keeping it very simple, but that doesn't always translate super well into The Sims, where details are, at least in my opinion, very often a very good thing. So yeah, building a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I hope you guys will like it anyway. We're also building in Oasis Springs, and I started building this on a 30 by 20, but then I was lacking a little bit of space on the sides of the house, so I moved it to a 40 by 30. I initially had planned for this to go up yesterday, but it just took me so long to finish it because I was not planning on building on a 40 by 30, so here we are today instead. So yeah, this is basically a one-story family home. It only has room for two parents and also a kid. I would say the kid is maybe a little bit older, turning into a teen soon. So it's not for like a big family, it's definitely a smaller one. I will say though, I'm pretty happy that I didn't have to decorate a toddler bedroom with the with the new stuff, or like decorate a toddler bedroom that would fit with a new kid, because I don't feel like it does super well. But I mean, usually whenever I go for like a style throughout a house anyway, I will make exceptions for children's bedrooms, so that includes teens but also toddlers. I just feel like they just kind of have their own room, like do what you want with that room. For today though, I definitely tried to make it fit with the aesthetic that we're going for throughout the house, which is, the best way I can describe it is cold and bare and not super minimalistic, but maybe leaning on minimalistic. And it's very gray. I like it, but it definitely, again, is not a style that because I like warm interiors. I like calm, like not calm, cozy interiors. Definitely not calm. I like a lot of clutter, a lot of action in my interiors. But it's nice to kind of like get out of your comfort zone a little bit, see what else you can do with what we have in the game. And I feel like this sort of like the stuff that is in the new kit definitely fits this sort of interior a lot better than the ones that I would maybe usually do or usually lean towards doing. I don't know how to phrase that. So we're just doing something a little bit different today, trying something a little bit different. Also had a lot of issues with the floor planning, which I cut out because we're playing around with platforms a lot today, like a lot. So I had to like figure out how to combine the back of the build with the front of the build without actually changing the platform height too much. So it was a little bit fun trying to play around that, but or work around that. We got it to work though. But yeah, definitely a lot of platformage on this house, like a whole lot. Even the landscaping, which by the way we're not done with. I go back to it at the end. I just wasn't ready to do it at the start, so I just decided to jump into decorating. But we do go back and like try to fix it later on. Sometimes it's also best to get the floor plan out of the way. I actually talked about that in my floor plan tutorial, I think. Sometimes you want to do the floor plan before you start with like landscaping and everything, just in case you need to adjust the house shape for the floor plan, because that is the thing that can happen. Sometimes it's just better to do that instead of just saying, well, the house looks like this, so I'm gonna stick to it. Just because it's just, you know, it's better for the floor plan anyway. But so I saved the landscaping for later. So if it looks a little bit messy here at the start, just ignore it. It won't look like that at the end of the video. I think I ended up changing the color scheme of the exterior like 5 times as well, because I was just not happy with it. But that's a question of like, again, the details kind of missing. So like the house has to stand on its own. The house shape has to stand on its own basically. And I just was very indecisive when it came to what kind of colors I felt could really pull it off. So I also, because we are in Oasis Springs, so the lighting is a little bit different here. It's very yellow, so whenever you go for like a gray tone for the exterior, it'll end up looking beige. I feel like beige was a little bit too soft for the house, so I was having issues trying to find a gray color that I felt like could pull it off. I ended up changing it to white in the end, and I think I did it off cam as well, so you'll suddenly see the house color change to white, but it just looked better. But now it's not terracotta anymore. That's the thing. Or like, that's not what it's called. Not terracotta. Where did that come from? Now it's not stucco anymore. So just be aware of that. I think I ended up using possibly a wallpaper that was one of the ones in Courtyard Oasis, actually. I use that one a lot. It's just nice and like pleasing. It's a thing. It has a nice texture on it. Textures are very important to me, so I tend to use that one a lot. But anyway, I feel like I could easily make this voiceover into like me just listing all the things that I struggled with while building this house. Platforms, color scheme, trying to make everything look cold but not too cold, because it's still a home. It's still supposed to look like a cozy home, right? Just building out of my comfort zone, trying different things with interiors. It was a lot, and also because of the platforms, I was dealing with several little things, such as here, I was trying to place down like one of those low fences. I think this one is from Get Together. It's called Window Shopping or something, but because of the platforms, it was messing up. I don't exactly fully know how to explain what was going on, but was struggling with that as well. I just cut myself on my face with my nails. Great. I need to not move when I talk. Does anybody deal with that as well? Like, nobody's looking at me. Why do I have to sit here and talk with my hands? Anyway, someday I'm actually accidentally gonna like poke out my eye or something. Anyway, I'm gonna sit on my hands now, so no moving. Okay, but yeah, was just struggling with different things. I think this is the floor. You can't see right now, but this is the wooden floor is the one that I end up going with at the end. It was kind of like, because I wanted the house to look raw in a way, but without being too raw. I feel like that's the best word I can use to describe it. So a lot of the floors looked a little bit too polished and also didn't have the right tone. I wanted the house to keep a certain warmth to it, but still going for this kind of cold aesthetic. I don't know if cold, don't take offense, by the way. I don't mean it like it looks uninviting or whatever. It's just like, it's the concrete thing. It makes me kind of think cold for some reason. Yeah, but so it's the best word I can use to describe the sort of feeling, but I like it. I like the sort of like interior style. I do like it. I was actually, for a change, I went on Pinterest to look at interior pictures. I don't usually do that, but for this sort of interior, I just wanted to get like a little bit like a kick of inspiration, so I decided to do that. And some of their homes, like, they look so, some of it is so random, but it's still put together, like it's quite clearly put together in a way. Oh yeah, to keep a little bit of warmth in the living room, I decided to go for the pink curtains. They look very nice, very cozy. I love how you can just customize them to whatever window shape that you're dealing with. Like, that's brilliant. No, I did not come up with that idea. I think a couple of people have credited me for that on Twitter, but I did not come up with that. While in the call, or one of the calls, they showed it to me and I was like, oh, everyone's gonna love that. And yeah, everyone is loving the curtains. So I'm very happy that they thought of that themselves, because at that time, I don't think curtains were actually on the table yet. So it was kind of like an addition they just sort of made or decided on and then showed it and was like, what do you think? Love it. And the texture on the curtains is beautiful too, just very nice. It's, oh, by the way, just in case you did not know. So again, this is not something that I've come up with, but I saw someone else combine the curtain pole with a lot of the other curtains that we have in the game already. So you can kind of like, if you use bb.moveobjects on, you can combine them, like place them on top of other curtain poles or whatever those are called. So you can just kind of, you know, have fun with it that way, especially if because we have a couple of curtains that are already separated from each other, such as there's a couple of base game ones, there's a set from, what's it called? My First Pet Stuff Pack, possibly? Or is it Cats and Dogs? I can't remember. But you can use it for those as well, so you can kind of like make the window or the pole or whatever very, very wide, for example. So you can do a lot of things with those ones. And I also saw some people use them for shelves as well, which is nice, because it does look like a nice shelf as well, actually. Very, very versatile. Very lovely. So in one of the pictures that I saw on Pinterest, one of the interior pictures that I saw, they had this like walk-in, or not a walk-in closet, but they had a wardrobe that I think I deleted it right now, but I'll place it down in just a second again. So you'll see what I do. But they had a sliding door that was made out of wood. And I was like, oh, that's great. That looks nice. And I realized that the windows that we got in new kit are kind of like, you can use them for different things. So I decided to me at least, they look like a sliding door when you place them like this in front of the wardrobe. I hope you can see that, because I showed it to my mom and I was like, what do you think this is? And she was like, shelves with bars. And I'm like, no. No, it's a sliding door. She's like, oh. But then again, she doesn't really play Sims, so I mean, she doesn't have the same eye for this as you and I do, you know? Like, we're kind of used to taking creative liberties to get the result that we want, if you know what I mean. Like, you kind of have to have a certain amount of imagination to be like, yeah, that is definitely a sliding door, because I can see why it wouldn't be to some other people. Especially if, like, if you're not in this game, or if you haven't played it or whatever, like, there are limitations to it, so I think when you've been playing this game for like 7-8 years by now, you kind of get used to like just looking at stuff being like, yeah, that's what I wanted it to be, so that's what it is now, if that makes sense. My mom doesn't have that luxury. She's not played The Sims ever, so she's excused. She knows a lot of other things though. I hope that didn't sound like I'm trying to talk down my mom, by the way. I don't really realize how certain things sound when I say them, and then afterwards someone would comment on it. I'm like, that's really not what I meant. My mom would know what I mean as well, so I hope it didn't sound like that. But anyway, it's a lot like that when you do voiceovers. At least for me it is, because it's also in a second language, so I don't really have the time to think through which words that I want to use. I just kind of have to trust that I'm choosing the right ones. But yeah, it's like deal with the consequences afterwards, basically. But consequences sound so serious. Anyway, you guys always know what I mean anyway, so we're all good. But over here, I decided to, because they don't really have like a proper office setup, so they just have this like, I didn't really want to go with one of the desks, and I know that this solution doesn't work for everyone, but I did play test it, so for me it works. I hope that if you activate move objects on before you place down the build, it should work for you too. But also the computer kept getting deleted. Like, I don't know why, but it kept disappearing. It was very annoying. I went back several times to just check if it was still there afterwards, because it kept disappearing. Very strange. The elusive computer. But yeah. So instead of going for desks, what was that? Instead of going for a desk for the office area, I decided to use one of the shelves that's basically just sized up. So this is a base game one. Actually, maybe I should have tried with the curtain pole, except then I don't know. I'll have to try that in another build. But it's just like a nice thing to do. Size up the shelf and then use like a counter, size it down and hide it underneath somehow, instead of going for like tables all the time. Also, because I think the reason I didn't want there to be any table legs, basically. I was like, no table legs for the office setup. Nope, not today. So we just had to work around that a little bit. But it's very open, so I'm not expecting any of the parents to work from home. It's more like they needed a computer set up for like emergencies, basically, or for like whatever else they want to do. And that was their That was the work or their computer setup right there. So it's out in the hallway, sort of, but not entirely. It's on the way to their bedroom, which is down here after a flight of stairs. So also, I think this might be the only bathroom that we are decorating today on cam at least. On cam at least. There's only 2 bathrooms in this house, by the way. I don't feel like they need more than that. So one is close to one is close. It's not an ensuite, but it's almost an ensuite. They just have to like get out the door and turn to the right. There's another door, but the other one is close to the other bedroom, so they both don't have to walk far if they wake up in the middle of the night and they gotta do their business. But both bathrooms are quite small. It's just what fit with the floor plan. Although I feel like for this kind of house, it wouldn't have been weird to make like a bigger, more luxurious sort of bathroom. You guys probably also know by now that it's not my favorite room to decorate in a house. I just kind of don't care for bathrooms, but still wanted it to fit with the, at least like color scheme wise, fit with the rest of the house. So I made it very gray, added some gold accents as well in there, and also gave them a bathtub because there was room for it. So they have a bathtub and then an open shower, which is the one from, what's it called? The Japan pack. Oh gosh. Snowy Escape. There we go. Yes. So this is the child's bedroom. I almost said bathroom. No, child's bedroom. It's color scheme wise kind of goes with the rest of the house. I do swap it up, change it up just a little bit because it wasn't, I felt like it was a little bit too beige at some point, so I changed the desk, but I think I also changed the bed, actually. There was another swatch that fit a little bit better than this one. Also needed there to be an accent wall because the room was turning too gray. I felt like it just didn't really have that. It needed to be brightened up a little bit. It felt too cold for a children's bedroom, I think. Or maybe I don't change the bed swatch. I just feel like I didn't end up on this one. I think I ended up on one that had a lighter wood than this one. We'll see in a second. So trying to stick to like, trying to make it look like a children's room while still sticking to the almost minimalistic approach to decorating, which I've done throughout this house, was actually not like, it was not super easy for me. I just want to say, but like I also overclutter basically everything normally, so I had to really reel it in for the interior in this house. Like I really had to calm down a little bit. But they have a couple of toys in there. Some of them will probably be put away when you move into the house, but it should all be good. So they have the essentials in there, and yeah, that's all you can ask for, right? Okay. But for the backyard, playing around with, I actually wanted to do several things with the backyard that I couldn't get to work, and that was so annoying. So we're still playing around with platforms. Obviously, pools can't be placed on platforms, which still bothers me. So I couldn't do that, obviously. But they have like, oh yeah, fitting in the fireplace as well was a little bit funny because it's a freestanding, like it doesn't snap onto walls or anything. It's a separate sort of fireplace, if that makes sense. It's just, how do you say that? Separate? I don't know. Freestanding, whatever, freely placed fireplace. So you can just place it anywhere, but I really wanted it to be up against a wall. Obviously, it doesn't fit anywhere up against the wall of the house. So I had to make sure that I could use like half walls that are very, very tall, if not the same height as like a normal wall would be. So it kind of sort of gave me a little bit of it gave me a little bit of a challenge, because if you end up using these very tall half walls throughout the whole, this is going to be very hard to explain for me, I feel, but if you end up using half walls to frame up these very tall half walls to frame up the entire backyard, it ends up looking very, very closed off, and that's not what I wanted, because there's not a whole lot of lots around this lot. It's in the upper left side of Oasis Springs, so it's a very nice neighborhood. The lots aren't too close to each other. There's not a whole lot of like buildings around either. I think there's what's it called? Like a pond in the backyard or something, like behind the house. You could even place down a a gate somewhere and actually be able to exit through the backyard maybe. I just didn't think of that, but should be possible somewhere. Yeah, you might have to just delete one little square of the half wall and then place down a what's it called, a fence, and then place a gate on top of that so it looks like there's a gate in the half wall, because you can't actually place gates on top of half walls. Yeah. And then because we're playing around with so many platforms and so much tiling in the backyard, I was kind of, at some point I was looking at it like, this is so beige. I need there to be some, I don't know if you just heard my first crack. I'm desperately trying to sit still, still. Yeah, that was annoying. But anyway, so I was at some point just looking at it like, this is it's way too beige. I need some areas framed up where I can place down some plants so we can keep it just a little bit green in here. The half wall was also too much. There was too much half wall. So I ended up playing around with this was where I was like, this half wall is too tall. So annoying to look at. So I was playing around with both the awnings. This didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I ended up taking it down, but I was also playing around with the new windows that I feel work really well to basically use as like a fence in itself, sort of. But it only works if you place it, or unless you place it freely. I suppose you could do that too, but you can't place, can you place windows and fencing? I don't remember at this very moment. Oh my gosh. At this moment, I was just like sitting in my chair like, I want my Musa banana somewhere. I was desperate to place down this banana plant somewhere in this backyard. Like, I really wanted there to be a banana plant, but I could not find a spot where it wouldn't block something because there's a lot going on in this backyard. Yeah. Also over here, I was trying to, this is the whole issue with the pool and the platforms and stuff, but I was desperately, see, you can place a sort of like sunken down area like I did with the jacuzzi or hot tub, whatever you want to call that, right next flush with a pool if the pool is on a foundation. But this pool is not on a foundation. If you start mixing foundations and platforms, that gets a lot, like, very, very messy. So the hot tub area did not turn out the way I wanted it to, but I left it there because I thought that it would be a fitting house to have a hot tub as well. Like, I don't know, it felt like, why make the pool bigger when you can also have a hot tub, you know? So they now have a hot tub in a sunken down area. Better than just a freely standing hot tub, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I was seething over the whole, like, why can't you place, like, my issues would have been solved if you could only place a pool on a platform, but you can't do that, and I don't know why. Why is that a thing? I think it has something to do with the platform. Just instead of, like, foundations do something differently when you place them down. It like combines the foundation with the floor, but platforms don't do that. They just lay on top of the floor, if that, like, on top of the ground, if that makes sense. So I think in my head it makes sense, but I don't know if my words are making sense. But I think that's one of the reasons why you can't place a pool, because it does dig into the ground underneath the platform. But if the platform is only lying on top of the ground instead of actually sinking into it like a foundation would, you know, there's your issue. So it's just annoying sometimes. It would give a whole lot of more liberty if we could place pools on foundations, but I kind of understand, if at least my theory is correct, I understand why it's not actually possible. So, but that was the thing. I was very, very annoyed. And then I thought the ceiling up here just looked a little bit too simple, so I placed down a couple of sunroofs and also used some of the awnings to just add some roof details because the awnings look beautiful. They're gorgeous. Love the whole thing. Did find out though that you can't actually rotate the awnings, which took me by surprise. I thought that was the thing that we could do, but I couldn't get it to work. So I don't know if that's like a permanent thing with awnings or if it's just with this one. I'm gonna need to go back and actually test some of the other awnings because I was gonna use it for a wall divider at some point and it wasn't working. But it would have been perfect for a wall divider, in my opinion. So the landscaping does end up a little bit messy, but I also kind of wanted it to be a little bit messy. We're playing around with platforms, so I was trying to blend the platforms together by basically sizing up a lot of the rocks and then placing them on top of the edge of the platforms here and there, so the two different levels of platforms blend together in that way. We're using a lot of rocks today, like a lot, and also not in the typical beige color that I use them in. I think I went for the gray one this time, which I don't usually do, but I liked it for this house. I think it's got to do with the lighting, is like still, it has to do with the lighting being very yellow, so the lighting hitting the rocks just made them the right color for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, just making it a little bit messy, and then just using a lot of cacti and like aloe and, you know, or succulents, just in general, and just having fun with some platforms basically. So, but that's the rest of the video, I think. I think we are at the end soon, so I'm gonna be wrapping up this now. But if you like this house, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, the trade files can be found over on my Patreon, which will be linked to in the description box as well as in the pinned comment. If you like books, by the way, if you like to read, definitely check out my booktube channel, which is also linked in the pinned comment. But that is all I got for you guys today, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!
I look at you and know it's alright. You read my mind, but I can see that you don't realize, and that's when